they're going to realize that Casper is a very widely used and under-owned investable asset. And we think that we could see Casper trade $1, $2. And so we'll be holding on to our Casper for the time being.
What's up guys, Kevin Cage here with another crypto update. In today's video, we're going to dive into Casper Network and its native token CSPR. I wanted to share some information that I'm looking at, and remember, this is not financial advice, but props to anybody paying attention to different assets and legitimate projects during a bear market. The majority of new retail investors that joined during the market highs of 2021 are typically gone. There's a small amount that tough it out, and sometimes they'll hold their investment down and be down 60% or 90%. But during that time of research, they realize, wow, there's a lot going on here with the tech of this asset class as a whole and the tokenization stats, and they realize, since these markets are cyclical for the past 10 years, there's likely going to be another bull run. For example, HBAR from its all-time low to its all-time high did a 60x return. FetchAI did over a 160x from its all-time low. ADA or Cardano did a 90% plus crash, and it did not surpass its previous all-time high for over 1,000 days and did over a 160x. Even Algo did over a 25x. Filecoin did over a 50x from its low. We had Zilliqa do over a 100x from its low. So those are just a few examples of different assets doing that from their all-time low price. Now it's more important to actually consider the market cap, the circulating supply, and the overall tokenomics. Before we dive into that, let's look at the Casper price chart, all-time low at 2.2 cents. So a 400% increase or a 5x would be up to 11.4 cents. A 900% increase plus initial investment is a 10x from the low, about 22 cents. A 50x from its all-time low is over $1.15. And a 100x from its all-time low would be over $2.20. I'm also going to link in the pinned comments and in the top of this YouTube video description 2 recent Casper videos I did. I highly recommend checking it out because we went across the board, understanding market cap, understanding the inflation rate, and what's really possible. Going all the way down and looking at different altcoins that have hit crazy high valuations like Solana. For Casper, that would be about $6.70. So if you haven't seen those, be sure to check out the video description. So remember last cycle in 2021, alts on CoinMarketCap ranked 10 through 20. They had market capitalizations of 10 billion to 20 billion plus. We know Bitcoin surpassed $1 trillion, Ethereum over $500 billion, ADA almost 100 billion, XRP almost 100 billion. In 2018, it actually hit 148 billion, even Solana 75 billion. So these are the large caps. I took a poll on Twitter asking, what do you think the market caps will reach in future cycles for alts that are ranked at that level, since we already hit 10 to 20 billion previously? Do you think it'll be less, the same, or more, 20 billion to 50 billion? And when we're looking at the total crypto market cap, almost 10 years of price history, the all-time high was 3 trillion in 2021 for all crypto assets. We're currently at 1.2 trillion today. And it blows my mind that Apple, the first company to reach a $3 trillion market cap, is larger than crypto's all-time high market cap, a single company that will be leveraging DLT and blockchain. So just looking at these levels, we've had over 1 year to accumulate even this range of 2 to 4 cents for Casper. As soon as we push up a little bit, like a variety of other assets, everybody's going to want to buy once Casper's at 7 cents or 13 cents. But the best time to accumulate is when we are in accumulation at lower levels, testing bear market lows. So Casper at a $2 billion market cap would actually be exactly on the weekly R3. There have been alts that have already hit this level. We can see Casper at a $5 billion market cap would be over 44 cents. You can see at a $10 billion market cap, that's over a 24x, and Casper at about 89 cents. Here's Algorand's all-time high market cap, and that would take Casper to about $1.30. And just as an example to show you what other alts have done with crazy hype cycles and not utility, I just have to be frank, it's not utility, it is Bitcoin, it's tons of liquidity, it's community members. We have never seen what government use cases can do, and that's why I'm most excited for the very few projects that are legitimate L1s, well-funded, have real customers, real code base, real tech, etc. Because the enterprise market is the largest market in the world and the least penetrated when it comes to blockchain. So if you saw ADA, Solana, a variety, Solana did a 500x. It's not that crazy to think that Casper with utility can appreciate in price. So we'll talk about some recent partnerships as well. And also comparing Casper today to the all-time high market caps of other alts that have already done this. So ADA 99 billion, almost 100. Casper would be $8.80. That's a 247x from today's price. Solana and Doge 75 billion. Casper would be about a 188x to $6.70. We can see Avalanche 32 billion, so Casper would be just under $3, close to an 80x. We have Litecoin, Casper about a 67x at 240. So how do we get there besides a massive bull run in the future? I believe the projects such as Casper, which is SOC 2 compliant, that is getting into Wall Street and working with Fortune 2000s today, have the best chance. We have CryptoSec here, and he was very early in a lot of legitimate assets. I believe he was in Q&T way before me. I got in at about $3, but we can see my future investments are going to be focused mainly on institutional business use cases. While being a much slower process due to regulation, especially also if we go into recession, there are real impactful use cases that can be used for trillions of dollars in assets. So I retweeted, be cautious with some microcaps. Yes, some can do a 100x, some can disappear entirely. I'm looking for real projects that are solving real use cases and have huge backers. I want my biggest holdings in assets that will still be here in 3 to 5 years. And there's nothing wrong with taking some high risk plays at all, but make sure you manage risk. The one thing I wanted to point out is XRP just hit its R2 just like Injective. As you can see, we hit the pivot, fell back down, and absolutely took off. You can see Casper reached the weekly pivot, but we're currently sitting below. Just for example, the R2 is about 13 cents, the R1 is 10 cents, and we have an open fair value gap right here at 7 cents. So even from today's price up to close, that fair value gap, that is about a 100% move or a 2x. Also want to note that XRP has a fair value gap at the weekly R3 right there, and these typically act like magnets for price action. And besides fair value gaps, we have an open liquidity gap for Casper up at 43 cents, very similar to HBAR, and just remember weekly candle bodies at 60 cents. Be sure to check out the other video because I do the price chart and I show you my personal thoughts on Casper and how it's going to move in the future. Just like Bitcoin in the past, we had a huge crash, retracement up to the 618 and 50% Fibonacci retracement on candle bodies, came back down below the 236, wicking during March 2020 to the 0.059. We are witnessing XRP as it did the same retracement last cycle, hitting and rejecting the 50% retracement, coming back down below the 236 and finding support at 0.059, just like Bitcoin did at its bottom in March 2020. So it's exciting seeing XRP finally getting a little price action after over 2.5 years with this lawsuit. We're basically around the 236. If we can take out these retracements and pass through this previous swing high, we can go to an all-time high price, just like Bitcoin did here before heading to an all-time high price. And that's one of my views for Casper, just super high level. I'm expecting something similar. Right now with Casper's weekly candle bodies, we're using that as the swing high. Now we could lower this and use this previous swing high that closed this previous fair value gap, and this can actually alter those levels massively. But overall, I think a variety of alts sitting at bear market lows, being down 90%, and it's been well over a year at these levels, they're due for a big move and a retracement up. The question is, where are we going to reject, and are we going to follow similar Bitcoin fractals? Or are we just going to do something similar to Bitcoin with this giant cup and handle bear market that we saw in 2015 as we just slowly grinded to an all-time high price? And only time will tell. So overall, I believe that Casper is going to have a big retracement. The question is, how low do we go first, and does Bitcoin pull back a little lower and drags the altcoin market down? If Casper does visit 3 cents even or even below, I'm going to try to go super heavy. And when Casper finally gets some volume, starts taking out these previous swing high levels, then I can look at selling certain percentages of my bag. Alright guys, let's get into some news. So first up, we have Sarsen Funds on Casper. So Sarsen Funds is an investor in Casper and they own the Casper token. This was an amazing interview put out by American Crypto Academy. Be sure to check out these guys on YouTube. This was an awesome interview. So overall, some cool news. So we had Sarsen Funds launching a stablecoin on Casper. Now typically ecosystems, just like Avalanche and others, they need synthetic stablecoins first and then eventually Circle will pay attention. So I know Circle with USDC on Algorand, AVAX, and a variety of chains. And John in this interview said he had lunch with Circle and they're looking at Casper and it's expected to launch USDC on Casper Network this year. He also predicts that Casper will head towards 20 cents again, of course, and then $1 to $2 in the future.
Broadridge Financial, for example, they're the company that clears trades for Wall Street firms like Morgan Stanley. There are currently 13 different human-led processes that happen each time someone makes a trade in order to clear that trade.
Hold on, wait, 13 people have to manually put their hands on this?
Correct.
Gotcha.
And that's why, you know, security settle T+3. It takes them 3 days to go through this line of 13 people. Broadridge Financial has been an early adopter of blockchain. They have a private blockchain. And they have said publicly that they believe that implementing a blockchain will improve their operational efficiencies and save them somewhere between $9 and $11 billion a year. Just being able to take advantage of the immutability and the transparency of a blockchain ledger.
What blockchain delivers is pretty basic, but it's so basic that it can basically underlie everything and solve a variety of problems. So Sarsen Funds is an investor in Casper with Skybridge, the $3.5 billion fund you guys know, Al Mascari as well, the royal family of Abu Dhabi. And one quote I absolutely love from Anthony Scaramucci with their $3.5 billion fund, and they are a strategic partner for Casper, and it's their goal to help Casper penetrate Wall Street in the Fortune 2000. And Anthony said this verbatim: "I'm excited to see Casper further penetrate the Fortune 2000, a process in which I know I can be a significant ally. If Casper can secure relationships with even 50 of these firms, it will become the industry standard." And if you guys saw this tweet or their full interview, I really like this clip basically saying, why haven't I heard of Casper in the United States? Just going over their partners throughout Europe, he says Ireland specifically, based in Switzerland, Singapore, US, Hong Kong, the Middle East, India, etc. A few things in this interview: Hyperledger is the largest private blockchain in the world, and this does atomic swaps with Casper Network to connect to public networks. And IBM makes money helping companies solve inefficiencies by leveraging Hyperledger's private chains and partners. So Casper sits on the Hyperledger Foundation with some of the world's largest organizations: Accenture, IBM, American Express, CasperLabs, Deutsche Telekom. We even have Filecoin, we have Ripple, Hedera, Huawei. You have Input-Output, IPW. There's really only a handful of crypto projects in this list, alongside names like Oracle, R3, BSN, Siemens. We have Ripple. And IBM and Hyperledger, out of every single layer 1 network that exists, chose Casper for the IPW patent deployment. So we're still waiting on this, but this is the largest enterprise blockchain deployment in history, and this is existing on Casper's public network. And they said publicly this is about $7 to $10 billion in aggregate value initially. So enterprises need to connect some of their private chains to public networks. You can keep super sensitive information or medical records private, but you can also hash it to secure it to the public network. Public networks like Casper's network are more secure and transparent. So we talked about IBM demonstrating atomic swaps with Casper and Hyperledger. So Hyperledger has tons of different types of private chains, and they presented this at Davos. And a huge thing is having CasperLabs, a professional services team or an implementation team. So these enterprises have a phone number to call. They have contacts for people to discuss and help them. It's not just creating dev kits and putting it in the internet and crossing your fingers that enterprises adopt your tech. They're actively working with enterprise customers, and CasperLabs, the company, actually has paid customers today and a run rate. So there's a lot of crypto projects that just cross their fingers and rely on an ICO to fund their project for a few years, and that's not the case with Casper. They have paying enterprise clients today. So businesses running Hyperledger will benefit from Casper Network with plenty of support to ensure their private networks communicate well with the public network. And the thing about implementation teams, there's no one at Ethereum that you can call if you need help and you're an enterprise and you want to use ETH. So they're focused on the repeatable day-to-day business processes, tons of transactions. And people think Ethereum has a lot of transactions. Hedera is getting there, but in the scheme of things, the crypto asset class has not seen enterprise success, let alone transactions of utility. So there's just insane potential with success. And you can view the full interview on Twitter if you follow US Crypto Academy. And John also mentions in this interview another exciting use case as well. So in Bangalore, they're actually building entire smart cities being designed on top of Casper. So this is in India for a couple 100 million people, similar to what we heard with the government of Telangana in India with Casper, and then the blockchain service network with Casper and Chengdu chain. You have Anthony Scaramucci of Skybridge Capital, the $3.5 billion fund, mentioning Casper in this list. And just because I know I'll get questions in the comments, you can store your Casper on CasperWallet.io. You can also visit CSPR.live. Go to the products right there, and then access the Casper wallet. So you can set this up and have your 24 words, similar to Ledger, or you can use Ledger if you have a Ledger Nano. I have a full video on YouTube. If you just type in Kevin Cage Casper Wallet, you should see it. Remember that CasperLabs is partnered with Quest Global. We've mentioned them before and did a video on this. They have 67 global delivery centers and massive enterprise clients in the Fortune 500. Through energy, automotive, aerospace, healthcare, high tech, I mean everything, even like organizations like Siemens, also on the Hyperledger Foundation, wink wink. Remember, Siemens did a hackathon with Casper as well. And just remembering the stats overall, guys, Swift is estimating in the next 4 years, volumes of tokenized assets could reach 24 trillion. BCG by 2030, we've heard 16 trillion to 68 trillion. We know cross-border payments will soar to 250 trillion as well by 2027. We know the tokenized market is estimated to be 10% of global GDP. We can look at other asset classes, global equities, bonds, real estate, derivatives, commodities, and understand that crypto is sitting at a fraction of this. All right, a few more things. So as we know, Casper is working with Hyperledger. They have a variety of frameworks, including Hyperledger Fabric. So Hyperledger Fabric is one of the largest and most popular frameworks. They're used by global companies, including Walmart right there. We can see IBM brought Hyperledger Fabric to Walmart. They decided to go for Hyperledger Fabric. And this dated back to even 2016, Walmart with IBM working on this, and IBM is the same company, a Casper partner, that brought and chose Casper for the patent deployment with IPW, with one of the largest patent or IP repositories in the world. So Hyperledger Fabric can focus on use cases in healthcare, supply chain, banking, insurance, etc. And it's being used by Walmart today to address food safety issues and track various SKUs like fresh leafy greens, strawberries, different types of food. And if you'd like to learn more about IPWe's patent deployment on Casper's public chain, I encourage you guys to watch Blockchain Hub Davos clips from earlier this year with the CTO of CasperLabs, president of IPW, and then right here we have Daniela of the Linux Foundation. So fun fact, the Linux Foundation actually created Hyperledger in 2015. And notice Ethereum was created in July of 2015, so Hyperledger was really inspired by Ethereum and smart contracts and saw the potential for enterprises. So the Linux Foundation is even bigger than Hyperledger Foundation. A lot of giant companies, Red Hat, Cisco, Uber, Toshiba, and of course Casper is in this list. It is quite large. So let me just go down to Casper, right up there as you can see. So global banks, cloud providers, you name it. Now what sets Casper apart from other L1s, I love Hedera, it's also in my top 4 largest holdings, but they utilize Ethereum's virtual machine, whereas Casper has its own virtual machine and they had to build it from the ground up. So there's pros and cons to this. If you just plug right in and use the EVM, it's easier. You can maybe get adoption faster. But Casper taking its time to build its own virtual machine from the ground up and all of the tools and applications and kits, to me personally is a lot more impressive and gives me the impression that they're going to be here even 10 years from today. Now Hedera is awesome and it is based on a directed acyclic graph, and you can see even here when Hedera is working with Hyperledger Besu right here, you can see Ethereum virtual machine was replaced with the Hyperledger Besu virtual machine in the Hedera services release. So Hyperledger is an amazing project with a variety of different frameworks that can plug in and leverage different tools or applications of a variety of chains. Let's finish up with a few pieces of rapid fire news. So CasperLabs to tokenize and list its equity of the company shares on INX platform. So I'm pretty excited for this. I'm actually going to consider trying to buy some CasperLabs equity as well. Right here by this gentleman, most importantly, the CasperLabs community can take a legit equity stake, giving them upside in a company they love and support. This is an awesome thread breaking down everything and the benefits of why they're doing this. Also by Grindy Technologies, so we have Casper's ecosystem growing in addition to Allbridge to the network. So currently we have Allbridge, Skybridge, XP Network, and .Oracle, basically allowing us to interoperate our Casper with other chains. Feel free to check out CasperLabs.io and look at a few other use cases. We have X Frontier right here sharing that Ralph, representing Casper Network, Nucleus Finance, and Actis Research, one of the 3 largest data standards in the world, and Ariadne as well, at the Digital Securities and Tokenization Conference in Frankfurt. You can see that Ralph of Casper Association spoke on tokenization and risk mitigation alongside Bank of New York, Siemens, and HSBC. Casper also presented last month in Washington, D.C. for Actis, and we can see right here, Frankfurt, the largest financial hub in continental Europe. And just remember that WM. Service is working with CasperLabs, as you can see, and they are the central authority and data provider for the global financial market, leveraging tokenization as a service and tokenizing these financial contracts and securities. So we can see the Digital Securities and Tokenization Conference right here with Casper below alongside these groups. And even more, HSBC, JP Morgan, Signum, Citi. And what's interesting about Siemens is, remember, a few months back, and we did a video on it, they were already experimenting with, I think it was in another currency, but still worth over $50 million in bond tokenization. And also, if you want to learn more about the Casper virtual machine powered by WebAssembly, the X Frontier on YouTube has an amazing video. And don't sleep on the Casper Association. We also have some announcements with Casper Wallet, so now you can buy Casper with your debit or credit card using Uphold's Topper Fiat on-ramp. You can also manage and send your ERC20 tokens that are based on Ethereum. And now we can send Casper directly from our wallet without having to actually go all the way to CSPR.live. And last I heard, the mobile app for Casper Wallet will be available this quarter. We have a great post from the X Frontier on Twitter. Topper is the fiat on-ramp that allows us to purchase Casper tokens directly from the new Casper Wallet. It's powered by Uphold the exchange. For anyone slightly curious, you have a bit more purchasing power using your debit card on Topper, just under 3% versus Uphold at 3.5%. So here's the 2 examples of transactions. This is the first one and cheaper one that goes right to your Casper wallet. If you wanted to use Uphold for ease of use, I get it, but it's just a tad more expensive. And if you guys checked out the recent CasperLabs podcast on Spotify with the CEO of CasperLabs with Robot Cash, he had a few interesting things to say about the adoption and future of tokenization and blockchain. Remember, the Casper team is older. They have experience with financing. They understand cloud computing. They saw the rise of a variety of things. And basically, Renal emphasizes, early on, people said, no company wants to store their information on a server. And guess what? Now Netflix today uses Amazon Web Services for nearly 100% of all its computing and storage needs. More than 100,000 server instances on AWS. And cloud computing really just started in the early 2000s. The same thing with the internet. People said, oh, this is just a phase in the 90s. And after that, the internet gave birth to new industries, social media, e-commerce, new companies that also led to the FANG stocks, and giant organizations including Meta, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, etc. I believe in the future of tokenization. I believe that Web 3 is going to eclipse Web 2 in terms of size and potential. As crazy as it sounds, we're still very early in this crypto asset class. There's developments each and every year. We know the BlackRock Bitcoin Spot ETF application was approved. The future is going to be tokenized. There will be crypto trading desks everywhere by the world's largest banks, as we've already seen. The question is, how long does it take to get there? Because I do believe this is going to be a decade or couple decade long journey. So for me personally, I am focused on the most utility-based and undervalued crypto assets in the space. The future will be multi-chain. We're still waiting on regulation. There is risk in everything you do. But for me, I am taking this risk. When you look at CoinMarketCap, there are thousands of different crypto assets. 99% are garbage. I'm focused on the projects that will be in the top 100 and top 50 in the next 3 years. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Huge thank you to all that hit the like button and share this around, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Casper's team is, I don't want to say that they're old like Jahan and I, but they're old like Jahan and I.
Thank you.
Merlin, the CEO, Meta, the CFO, Cliff, Brock Pierce is part of their advisory team. These are individuals that are proven individuals that have had successful projects before. And this is not their first foray into a technology company, nor is it their first foray into managing investor capital, obtaining financing, managing development teams. They have a really, I think, exemplary Rolodex of early investors, guys like Lou Kerner, Bradley Rotter, and others that have invested first in these talented people, then second in their concept that they came up with together. And I think that's a formula for success, one that we wish we could always take. Unfortunately, many of the teams in crypto don't have as much experience launching projects or managing 200-person development teams. But Casper has that talent on their teams. They are well-financed. They have recently received a public investment from Anthony Scaramucci from Skybridge Capital, which probably brings along with it an ability to raise Casper's profile on Wall Street, which is one place that it has not really been well known. So I think that Casper has kind of been playing all the right cards.
I have a feeling there's, some folks, stateside at home being like, why still haven't I heard much about Casper? And, let's talk about what their approach was first, right? It was they went after the international market first. And, we kind of understand the reasons behind that. But now they're making their push back here into the US. So I wanted to get your sort of insights onto where you see them going the next 6 months to beyond, as well as some of the recent announcements and upcoming ones that might be coming down the pipe.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Casper, for a while, I accused Casper of keeping it a secret, all of the great partnerships and development that was going on their blockchain from the United States. They have a fabulous presence in Ireland. They have a great presence in Singapore and in Hong Kong and the Middle East. In India, there's entire smart cities that are being designed on top of the Casper blockchain. In Bangalore, which is a little city of a couple 100 million of people, designing a smart city on top of Casper's blockchain. But they had been somewhat of non-vocal in the United States market, and I think that they're slowly changing that. I think that perhaps it was a function of the dysfunction in the U.S. regulatory scene, where we didn't really have comprehensive crypto regulation. You notice Casper did not get named as one of the blockchains that Gary Gensler wanted to call a security, all of which have since been absolved thanks to the Ripple court case last Friday. But it was nice to be under the radar on that one, so maybe Casper played that one just right. But Casper is certainly a business solution, and the United States is the home of the world's businesses, and it is starting to make a noticeable push inside the United States.
If you enjoyed this video, I'd greatly appreciate if you could hit the like button, let me know your thoughts down below, and my link tree is linked in the top of this YouTube video description, with all links, crypto resources, and discounts. I'll catch you in the next one.